She vanished 6 days before our wedding. The truth broke everyone. Have you ever trusted someone so completely, only to watch them disappear without a trace, right before the most important day of your life? Welcome to Breakup, Cheater. This isn't a story about cold feet. It's about silence, betrayal, and the quiet power of keeping receipts. Let's begin. 6 days before our wedding, my fiancée, Natalie, left my apartment at 6:45 p.m. She said she was going out for dinner with her best friend, Jenna, to try a new bistro downtown. She was wearing that navy peacoat she always reached for in early fall, the one with the silver buttons. I told her to call me when she got home. She laughed and said, "Don't wait up." That was the last thing she ever said to me as my future wife. By 10:30, I still hadn't heard from her. I sent a quick text. All good. No reply. At 11:15 I called her. Straight to voicemail. By midnight, my mind started going to places I didn't want it to go. So I called Jenna. She answered on the second ring. "Hey Mason," she said, sounding half asleep. "Everything okay?" "Yeah. Just wondering if Natalie's with you." "Was. She left a while ago. Around 9. Said she wasn't feeling well and wanted to head home early." "Did she seem upset?" "She was quiet. Said she had a headache." "Is something wrong?" Natalie and I weren't living together yet. Her apartment lease was still active. We planned to move in together after the honeymoon. So I grabbed my keys and drove to her place. Lights off. Her car wasn't there. That's when concern turned into dread. Called hospitals. Nothing. Filed a missing person report. They told me it had to be 24 hours unless there were signs of danger. Still, the officer took a report. I showed him photos, wedding details, and her ID info. He asked if we had any recent fights. We hadn't. At 4 a.m., I sat alone on our bed, next to her wedding dress bag, staring at vendor contracts, flower quotes, and luggage half-packed for our honeymoon in Lisbon. Natalie was just gone. By the next afternoon, fear had morphed into something harder. Confusion. I called her sister. Nothing. Her dad. Nothing. Jenna checked in again. Still no word. She swore Natalie didn't mention anything, just paid for her drink and left. That night the police called. They had found her. Alive. Alone. In a rented cabin 2 hours north of the city near a quiet lake community called Green Hollow. She hadn't been in an accident. No one had hurt her. Just left. Voluntarily. Didn't tell her family. Or her best friend. Or me. According to the officer, Natalie said she needed space and didn't want to be contacted. Not by anyone, including me. And that was the moment I stopped wondering if something terrible had happened. Because something had. She walked away on purpose. We'd been together for 4 years. Natalie was always meticulous. She kept color-coded shopping lists and wedding spreadsheets with minute-by-minute timelines. And now, she was hiding in a lakeside cabin instead of preparing for the wedding she helped plan. So I made some calls. Venue deposit. Gone. $6, 000. Catering $3, 200. Non-refundable. Florist. Partial refund, minus a $900 cancellation fee. Honeymoon in Lisbon. Booked early at Natalie's insistence. Non-refundable. Flights and resort $4, 500 gone. And then there was the ring. Custom designed. Natalie had chosen the setting based on her grandmother's heirloom. Cost me $11,000. No financing. Paid in full. It sat in its velvet box on my desk like it was waiting for her to change her mind. It didn't. 3 days later, I brought it back to the jeweler. He inspected it, sighed, and said, "I can offer you $6, 200. I know that's a loss." Took it. That's when I started clearing out my apartment. She left enough behind that it felt like a ghost was still living there. Her shoes. Her shampoo. Curling iron still plugged in. I boxed it all. No rage. Just focus. That's when her mother, Elaine, called. "Mason," she said quietly. "We just heard from the police. She's okay." "I know. She hasn't returned our calls." "Have you spoken to her?" "She hasn't called me either." Is the wedding still happening?" "No. I've cancelled everything." Another pause. "We didn't raise her to be this way." I didn't respond. What was the point? 3 days after I sold the ring, I was at work, mid-meeting, when our receptionist poked her head in. "Mason, sorry, someone's here. Says it's urgent." I stepped out. It was Natalie. No makeup, messy bun, hoodie, ill. She looked nothing like the woman who had once scheduled our engagement photos 6 months in advance. "I need to talk," she said softly. "You're at my job." I didn't know where else to go. "I think you knew exactly where." I let her speak. She apologized. Said she panicked. Said she didn't plan to stay away that long. Blamed pressure, fear, Jenna, her own head. "You ghosted everyone," I said. "You left me to clean up a $17,000 mess and explain your absence to everyone we know." She flinched. "You sold the ring?" she asked, stunned. "I paid for it. But it was based on my grandmother's. You vanished. You forfeited everything." Tears fell. She begged. Said we could still talk. "No," I said. "It ended the day you walked out and never came back. Please don't end it like this." "It already ended." And I pointed her to the door. That night, Elaine called again. She wanted their honeymoon gift refunded. $5,000. It was meant for Lisbon, and the trip didn't happen. It didn't happen because Natalie disappeared. We still feel like the money wasn't used as intended. I lost almost $18,000. That ring barely covered a third. And your family never paid your share of the florist. I have the emails. Her tone sharpened. "You're being cold." "No, I'm being honest. Cold is running away without telling anyone." "If you won't return the gift," Elaine said, "we may consider legal options." "Feel free," I replied. "My attorney will be waiting." Then I hung up. The next morning, I sat down at my kitchen table with a folder of receipts and opened our shared wedding spreadsheet. I logged everything: deposits, vendor contracts, cancellation fees, her parents' unpaid flower invoice, the honeymoon reservation she personally booked. I printed 3 bound copies, mailed one to Natalie, one to Elaine, one to their lawyer. 3 days later, Jenna texted me. "Just a heads up. Your spreadsheet caused a nuclear meltdown." But word started spreading. Natalie had tried to spin a different story. Said I got cold feet. Said I pulled out. Claimed I sold the ring just to hurt her. But people had seen her show up at my office crying. People had seen me paying the bills. And the facts were on paper. Even Jenna backed away. "Tiffany thought everyone would blame you," she told me. But now no one is defending her. It's been 6 months. The wedding date came and went. I worked that Saturday. Didn't cry. Didn't flinch. Sold the couch we picked together. Replaced the dishes. Deleted the shared Spotify playlist. I've had coffee invites. Few setups. But I'm not rushing it. Trust isn't something you replace. It's something you rebuild. Every now and then, I open that spreadsheet. Not out of pain. Out of peace. Because when everything fell apart, I didn't scream. I documented. Cleaned up. I let her bury herself. She tried to rewrite the story. But I wrote the ending. And it didn't need rage. Just a locked door. And the truth. Thanks for watching Breakup, Cheater. If you've ever been ghosted, betrayed, or left to carry the weight of someone else's mess, drop your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. You never know whose secret is coming next.